Welcome back to the deep dive. It is February 17th, 2026. I want you to just take a second and look around, look at your news feed, maybe take a peek at your bank account.
It feels different, doesn't it, than just a few years ago?
It feels completely different. If you're listening to this, you remember the early 2020s. You remember all the talk about the Great Resignation.
Oh, yeah.
And the path forward was supposed to be so simple, so clear. Go to college, get a good, safe laptop job, sit in Zoom meetings for 40 years, and then, retire. That was the script.
That was the default setting for, what, a whole generation?
Right. But today, we're looking at a whole stack of research. We've got reports from Workplace Intelligence, Side Hustle Nation, Service Titan, ShopView, and they're all painting a picture that is, well, it's honestly a little bit terrifying if you're still clinging to that old map.
Terrifying is one word for it, for sure, if you're not prepared.
But if you are prepared, or if you're willing to be, I'd probably use a different word.
Liberating. Because what we're really seeing in all this data, when you boil it down, is a massive, massive realignment. The Workplace Intelligence Report puts it so bluntly. It says the safe white-collar jobs, the junior analysts, the paralegals, the customer support reps, those roles are under siege.
And we know what's laying siege. It's AI.
It's AI, it's automation, it's efficiency algorithms that are just getting smarter every single day. The funny thing is, the robots didn't come for the factory workers first. Not this time around.
They came for the cubicles.
They came straight for the cubicles. For the people pushing digital paper around.
So that brings us to the core thesis we want to explore in this deep dive. We're calling it wealth from scratch. Because if that whole digital paper pushing economy is, shrinking, where is the money actually going?
Well, it's going back into the physical world. It really is. We're seeing this incredible renaissance in tangible value. I mean, the data shows there were over 600,000 unfilled manufacturing jobs just last year. Unfilled.
I can't find people.
Can't find them. And at the same time, we're seeing wages in the skilled trades. We're talking construction, extraction, specialized repair. They rose by 8% in 2025 alone.
8%. That is outpacing almost every single white-collar sector out there.
Exactly. So the roadmap for building wealth in 2026, it isn't necessarily about finding the next crypto coin or, building another SaaS app in a crowded market. It might literally be about buying a power washer.
Or a box truck.
Or a box truck. Or knowing how to properly install an EV charger.
So that's what we're going to break down today.
Yeah.
Specific, actionable strategies. We're going to talk about what we're calling the unsexy millionaires, people who are making 6, even 7 figures cleaning up trash.
And we're going to look at the mobile revolution in skilled trades. How bringing the shop to the customer is changing everything.
And we'll even get into hacking the housing market with some really clever construction methods that are flying under the radar.
And we're going to get into the weeds on this. We're not just going to give you the high-level idea. We're going to look at the math, the actual margins, the startup costs, and the specific gotchas that these reports all highlight.
So, if you're ready to get your hands dirty, maybe metaphorically, maybe literally, let's dive in. I want to start with a phrase that I saw in the Side Hustle Nation report that really stuck with me. It was low barrier, high retention.
That's it. That's the holy grail of a stable, cash-flowing business.
And the examples they give are, well, you said it. They are not glamorous. That's why we're calling this segment the Unsexy Millionaires. And I have to start with the story of this one guy, Brian Winch, because when I read this, I actually laughed out loud.
I know the one.
Not because it's funny, but because it's so brutally, painfully simple, it almost hurts.
The parking lot king.
Yes, the parking lot king. So for anyone who hasn't seen this story, Brian Winch built a business that generates over $600,000 a year, and the entire business model is picking up litter from parking lots.
It sounds absurd when you say it out loud, doesn't it? You just imagine a guy with one of those little picker-upper tools and a bag. And you think, that's a chore. That's not a business. But you have to look at the arbitrage here. You have to look at the value he's providing.
Okay, break that down for me, because how do you get from a broom and a dustpan to 600 grand? That sounds like a typo in the report.
It's not a typo. It's all about volume and contracts. Okay, so think about it like this. Here's the mechanism the report describes. Imagine you're a property manager. You run a decent-sized strip mall, or maybe a big office park. What is your absolute nightmare?
Complaints.
Complaints from tenants. Complaints that the place looks like a dump. But it's more than that. It's a liability issue. Someone trips on a bottle and sues you. It's a pest issue, rats and things.
Okay, so they need it clean. It's a non-negotiable part of doing business.
They need it clean. It has to be done. But they also don't want to pay for a massive, loud, street-sweeping truck to come through every single night for like $500 a pop. That's total overkill for some loose paper and a coffee cup.
Right.
So Brian's model is the perfect middle ground. It's manual, so it's precise and quiet. It's cheaper than the big machines, but it's still incredibly profitable for him. The report mentions the work is usually done really early in the morning, like 4 or 5 a.m. You get a contract for a daily sweep.
So what's the going rate for something like that?
It'll vary by location, of course, but let's just use a round number. Say you charge $50 per lot per day. A simple walkthrough. If you stay on top of it every day, it might only take you 20 or 30 minutes.
Okay, let's play that out. $50 for, let's say, half an hour of work. That is effectively $100 an hour.
Exactly. Now, you don't just get one contract. You get 10 of those contracts in a relatively small geographic area.
So that's $500 a day.
Which is $15,000 a month.
Yeah.
For a few hours of work before the sun comes up. And what was your capital requirement? You needed a reliable car, a broom, a scoop, some bags. That's basically it.
And insurance, I'm assuming? You got to have a liability insurance?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's non-negotiable. You're walking on commercial property. But the real beauty of it, the high retention part, comes from the fact that once you have that contract, as long as that parking lot stays clean, they never fire you.
They just forget about
You
it.
forget you exist. It's just a line item in their monthly budget. They're not out there shopping around for cheaper litter removal every month. It's a classic set it and forget it service.
So obviously Brian isn't the one walking all these lots himself anymore to hit that $600 number.
No, and that's the crucial scaling point. You start by doing it yourself. You learn the routes, you figure out the timing, you get the system down. Then you hire someone for, say, 20 or 25 bucks an hour to walk that same route. You just created a margin for yourself.
You become the manager.
You're managing a fleet of walkers. You're the salesperson signing up new properties. That's how you scale from a job to a real business.
It's just brilliant because it's so invisible. Like, no one is on LinkedIn posting about their litter removal startup and their latest funding round.
Which is your moat. It means incredibly low competition. You aren't competing with some venture-backed company from Silicon Valley. You're competing with, well, usually nobody. Or maybe the property manager who's trying to force his overworked janitor to do it after his shift.
Let's look at another one from that same report from Side Hustle Nation that has a similar ick factor, but the numbers are just incredible. Pet waste removal.
Ah, yes, the pooper-scooper business.
You know, I have neighbors who use a service like this. I always kind of thought it was lazy, to be honest. But looking at these numbers, maybe they're the smart ones.
Well, let's look at the operator they mentioned in the source material. I think it was a woman who started this part-time. She's charging between $14 and $20 per yard per week.
Okay, so call it $15-16 a week. That doesn't really sound like life-changing money on its own.
No, but again, it's about volume and density.
Mm-hmm.
She went out and secured 80 recurring customers. Now do the math on that.
80 times. Let's say an average of $15. That's $1,200 a week.
$1,200 a week.
For scooping poop.
For scoop and poop. But here's the key part of the model, the density. If you market this service to a specific subdivision, a specific neighborhood, and you get, say, 20 houses, all within a few blocks of each other, you're not driving all over town.
Right. You park the truck once.
You park the truck, you walk from yard to yard with your bucket. You can knock out those 20 yards in a single morning, easy.
So you're making, what, $50, maybe $60 an hour? And your overhead is, what, bags and a rake?
Bags. A good rake, a lot of hand sanitizer, maybe some nice branding on your truck so people know who to call. It's an incredibly lean business.
But why does this work now? Why is this a 2026 kind of business?
I think it's the perfect intersection of two huge trends. First, you have the convenience economy. You've got these dual-income households. They're working hard, they're busy, and they just want problems to go away. They'll happily pay $20 to not have to argue about whose turn it is to clean the yard.
Okay, that makes sense.
And the second trend is the aging population.
Yeah.
You have older folks, retirees, who love their dog, but they literally can't or shouldn't be bending down to do that anymore. It's a service that solves a genuine physical pain point or, a smell point.
A smell point. I like that. Okay, I want to pivot to something a little different that was mentioned in the Wise Business Plans report. It's significantly more intense. We're going to go from litter and dog waste to trauma scene restoration.
Yeah. This is where the unsexy category turns into the hardcore category. This is a whole different level.
So explain what this actually is, because the report flags this as a high-profit niche, but just the name sounds terrifying.
So think about general cleaning. Cleaning offices, cleaning houses, it's a commodity. It's a race to the bottom on price because anyone can go buy a vacuum cleaner. The margins are razor thin.
Okay.
Trauma scene restoration is the polar opposite. It is the highly specialized cleaning that's required after a crime scene, an unattended death, a meth lab, or a serious industrial accident.
Wow. That sounds emotionally heavy.
It's incredibly heavy. You are dealing with real biological hazards, bloodborne pathogens, you're dealing with chemicals. And on top of that, you're often dealing with grieving families or extremely stressed out property owners.
So why on earth is this a wealth from scratch opportunity? It sounds awful.
Because of the massive barrier to entry. And it's not a financial barrier. It's a knowledge and a psychological barrier.
Yeah.
You cannot just show up with a mop and some bleach.
I would hope not.
You need specific OSHA certifications. The report mentions the bloodborne pathogen standard, for example. You have to know how to legally and safely dispose of biohazardous waste. You can't just bag that stuff up and throw it in the dumpster.
Right, that feels like a felony waiting to happen.
It is. And because of all that regulation and because of the emotional fortitude required to even do the job, there are very, very few operators in this space. But when a hotel or a landlord or a family needs this service, they are not price sensitive.
They just want it gone.
They want it gone, they want it made safe, and they want it handled professionally and discreetly right now.
So what kind of margins are we actually talking about here?
The Wise Business Plans report suggests the hourly rates can be astronomical. We're talking hundreds of dollars per hour per technician on site. And often it's being paid for by an insurance company, not an individual. A single job could be $5,000, $10,000, even $20,000 depending on the severity.
So if you do one of those jobs a week,
You're making a very, very serious living. But, and this is a huge but, you have to be the kind of person who can handle the reality of that work. It requires a specific and rare type of resilience.
it really is the ultimate example of getting paid a premium to do the job that almost nobody else is willing or able to do.
Precisely. In an economy where everyone wants to sit behind a screen and manage spreadsheets, the person who is willing to put on a hazmat suit and solve a terrifying physical crisis, that person becomes a premium asset.
Before we move on from this segment, there was a common thread I noticed in both the WISE report and the Side Hustle Nation one, especially when they talked about things like gutter cleaning and trash bin cleaning. They kept mentioning that the competition is often technologically illiterate.
This is the secret weapon. This is the arbitrage you can exploit in 2026.
Unpack that for me. What does that mean in practice?
Okay, so put yourself in the customer's shoes. You realize your gutters are overflowing. You need them cleaned. So you go to Google and you search gutter cleaning near me. You find 3 local guys.
Okay.
Guy number 1 has a phone number. You call it, and it goes to a voicemail box that is full. Click. Guy number 2 has a website that looks like it was built in 2008. It doesn't load right on your phone, and the contact form is broken.
We've all seen that website.
We've all seen it. And then there's the third option. You have a clean, simple website that works on a phone. You have a big green Book Now button. The customer picks a time, puts in their credit card, and instantly gets an automated text message confirming their appointment.
Who gets the job?
You get the job every single time, even if you charge $50 or $100 more. In 2026, customers expect the Amazon experience, the Uber experience for everything, even for blue-collar work. The bar is so incredibly low in these industries that just having basic competence with modern software makes you look like a genius.
So you don't even need to be a coding wizard. You just need to know how to use something like Squarespace and a scheduling tool like Calendly.
And just answer the phone.
Yeah.
Or, even better, have an AI agent answer the phone for you and book the appointments. That simple step alone will put you in the top 10% of the market instantly.
I love that. It's not about reinventing the wheel. It's just about putting much, much better tires on it.
Exactly. You're just making it easier to buy.
All right, let's shift gears a little bit. We talk a lot about cleaning things up. Now let's talk about fixing things. Because there's this massive trend that was identified in both the ShopView and the Service Titan reports, and they're calling it the mobile revolution.
This is a huge one. It's the fundamental shift from the bring it to the shop model to the we bring the service to you model.
And the absolute heavy hitter here, the biggest example, is heavy-duty truck repair. I was reading through the ShopView data, and I actually had to double-check this number because it seemed wrong. It says that mobile repair is now the second largest revenue stream for heavy-duty repair shops.
It's enormous. And to really understand why, you have to put yourself in the shoes of a fleet manager for a logistics company. You're sitting in an office, and you're responsible for, say, 50 18-wheelers that are out on the road crisscrossing the country right now.
Okay, got it.
One of your trucks, carrying a full load of valuable cargo, blows a turbo or has a complex electrical failure on the side of a highway 300 miles from your home base. In the old days, what do?
You call a tow truck. A very big, very expensive tow truck.
A very expensive tow truck. That's going to cost you what, 500? $1,000 just for the tow. Then it gets dragged to the nearest available shop. It sits in their queue for who knows how long, a day, 2 days.
And the whole time, that truck is not making you any money.
It's a dead asset. The driver is sitting in a motel, which you're paying for. The delivery is late, which might mean penalties. It's a complete logistical and financial disaster.
So the mobile tech is the hero of this story.
The mobile tech is the savior. He or she drives their fully equipped service truck to the broken-down tractor trailer. They run diagnostics right there on the shoulder of the highway. And if they can fix it there, which they often can, that truck is back on the road in 4 hours, not 4 days.
So the value proposition isn't just the repair, it's speed, it's uptime.
In logistics, speed is money. And because that value is so high, the pricing power for these mobile techs is incredible. The ShopView report notes that the base labor rates for mobile work are often 20% higher than the in-shop rates.
And that's just the base rate.
That's just the start. Then you add the fees. You've got the trip charge. That's maybe $150 just for showing up. Then you've got the mileage fee, maybe $2 a mile from their home base. And then, and this is the real kicker, you have the emergency surcharge.
The 2.0 a.m. call.
The 2.0 a.m. call in a snowstorm. The report mentions that the emergency roadside service market for trucks is worth $2.7 billion. If you're the person willing to get out of bed at 2 in the morning to go fix a reefer unit so that an entire truckload of frozen fish doesn't spoil, you can charge 1.5, even 2 times your normal rate, and they will pay it without blinking.
You mentioned a number from the report that a single mobile tech can generate between $12,000 and $20,000 a month in labor revenue.
Just in labor. That's not even including the markup you make on the parts you sell them.
That is just staggering. But let's play devil's advocate for a second. What's the overhead?
You need a pretty serious truck, right? You do. This is not a broom and a scoop startup cost. You need a dedicated service truck, which is a significant investment. You could be looking at $80,000 to $100,000, maybe more, for a fully rigged out truck with a crane, an air compressor, a welder, all the tools.
Okay, so it's a real capital investment.
It absolutely is. But compare that to the alternative. What does it cost to lease or buy a giant commercial garage? To buy multiple heavy-duty lifts, to pay the property taxes and the heating bill for a giant empty warehouse. In that context, a $100,000 truck is actually a lean startup. It's your entire shop on wheels.
And the Service Titan report connects the same mobile trend to other trades too, right? It's not just for big rigs.
Oh no, that's just the top of the pyramid.
Yeah.
The principle applies everywhere. Look at the story they highlighted about Josh and Often Belk.
Yeah.
Mobile detailing.
They're college students, right?
Yeah, a couple of college students. They grew their mobile detailing business to $6,000 a month in revenue. What's their main asset? A van, a water tank, a generator, a good vacuum, and a pressure washer. They go to an office park during the day, and they detail people's cars while they're sitting in their cubicles.
It's pure convenience. You get your car cleaned while you work.
Exactly. Or look at the other example, knife sharpening. The guy, Matt Rowell, is making $30 to $60 an hour. He has a van with a grinding wheel set up in the back. He pulls up to a restaurant during their slow time in the mid-afternoon.
And the chef just brings out all the dull knives.
The chef brings out a whole roll of dull knives. Matt sharpens them right there in the parking lot in 30 minutes. The chef pays him in cash from the register. Boom. Done. Problem solved.
It seems so niche, but I guess every single restaurant needs that service on a regular basis.
And here's the deep dive insight that ties this whole mobile revolution back to technology. You cannot run these businesses effectively on a clipboard and a paper calendar anymore. You just can't.
Why not if you're a one-person shop?
Because if you're out there under a truck or sharpening a knife or polishing a car, you can't be answering the phone to book the next job. The Service Titan report really emphasizes that the scalability of these mobile businesses comes directly from the software. You need a tablet in the truck.
And what does that software actually do for you? What's the benefit?
It does everything. A customer can book an appointment online, so you don't have to take the call. The software can then optimize your route for the day, so you're not zigzagging back and forth across town, wasting time and fuel. It tracks your inventory, so you know for a fact that you have the right oil filter in the truck before you drive 50 miles out to a job site.
And billing, I assume.
Most importantly, it handles instant billing. The job is done. You tap a button on the tablet that says job complete. It automatically charges the customer's card on file, and the money is in your bank account the next day. That velocity of cash flow is what kills the old school competitors who are still mailing out a paper invoice and hoping to get a check 30 or 60 days later.
So there it is again. It's blue-collar work, but it's wrapped in a white-collar tech stack.
That is the absolute winning formula for building a service business in 2026.
Okay, we've covered cleaning and we've covered fixing, but we are in 2026. We can't have a serious conversation about the economy without talking about the energy transition.
The high-tech blue-collar frontier. This is where things get really interesting.
And specifically, I want to focus on the EV charging business. We've got this report from Link Power here, and the headline number is just impossible to ignore. A global market projected to hit $121 billion by 2030.
And that's just 4 years away. We are standing at the very bottom of a massive hockey stick growth curve.
But, you know, it feels like we've been hearing EVs are coming for a decade now. Is it actually real this time? Is the rubber finally meeting the road?
The data from Link Power says yes, unequivocally. But the bottleneck in the system has shifted. It's no longer about convincing people to buy the cars. It's about having enough places for them to plug the cars in. The report states the world needs something like 290 million charging points by the year 2040. We are not even close to being on track for that number.
So if you're a listener right now who has some capital to invest, maybe you're not looking to clean gutters yourself, what does an EV business actually look like? Are you just like a landlord for an electrical outlet?
It's a bit more nuanced than that. The Link Power report breaks it down into a few distinct models. First, you have the most visible one, the DC fast charging model.
That's the one you see at highway rest stops.
Right. These are the big, powerful, expensive units that can charge a car up to 80% in like 20 or 30 minutes. This is a high-volume, retail-style business. You're basically operating a futuristic gas station. You make a small margin on reselling the electricity.
The startup cost for that must be absolutely massive, though.
It is. It's a serious infrastructure play. You're looking at anywhere from $28,000 to $140,000 per station.
Ouch. Poo plug.
Yeah. And that cost includes the hardware itself, but also the trenching to run the high-voltage lines, the concrete work, and crucially, the grid connection fees from the utility company. It's real development. But you have to look at the payback period.
The report says 2.5 to 4 years.
Think about that.
Yeah.
In the world of real estate or infrastructure investing, a 4-year payback period on an asset that could last for decades is incredible. If you can secure a prime location, like a busy highway exit that has a coffee shop or a fast food restaurant right next to it, that charger becomes a cash cow.
But you mentioned a risk in your notes that I thought was fascinating, grid constraints.
This is the detail that can absolutely burn people who jump into this without doing their homework. You might find the perfect piece of land. It's got great traffic. It's easy to get in and out of. You sign the lease. You're all excited. Then you call the local utility company and you say, "Hi, I'd like to order a 480-volt, 3-phase power connection for 4 DC fast chargers, please."
And what do they say?
They say, "Sorry, the transformer on that city block is already maxed out. If you want that much power, you're going to have to pay us $50,000 to upgrade our grid infrastructure first."
Wow. So your project budget just doubled overnight. Your due diligence isn't just real estate scouting, it's practically electrical engineering.
Exactly. You have to get what's called a power availability study done before you sign anything. That's lesson number 1.
The report also mentions another model, fleet charging, as maybe a safer, more predictable bet.
This is the B2B side of the business. Think about all the thousands and thousands of commercial delivery vans, your Amazons, your FedExes, your local plumbers and florists. They're all electrifying their fleets. But those vans don't park on the highway at night. They go back to a central depot.
So you build and manage the charging for that depot.
You go to a business and you say, "Look, you focus on delivering packages. Let us handle your entire charging infrastructure as a service." It's stable, predictable revenue.
Yeah.
You know exactly how many vans you have, how much power you'll need, and exactly when they'll be charging. It's less of a retail play and more of a utility play.
I also saw a note in there about profit boosters, because the direct margin on just selling electricity isn't huge, is it?
It's okay, but it's not where the real money is. The real money comes from capturing the human who is attached to the car. If you have someone who is physically tethered to your machine for 25 minutes, they are a captive audience.
So you sell them something else.
You have to. Vending machines for drinks and snacks, digital advertising screens built into the charger itself. Partner with a local food truck to park in your lot during peak hours. The Link Power report suggests that the most sophisticated operators are turning these charging stations into micro-malls.
It's the exact same model as a gas station, just reinvented. The gas pays the rent, the candy bars and the lottery tickets pay the profit.
Precisely. But there is one more risk we have to flag here: hardware obsolescence.
Technology moves fast. The plug you install today might not be the standard in 5 years.
Exactly. Will the charger you install today be able to communicate properly with the cars of 2029? Will it charge fast enough? The report strongly advises looking for what it calls modular hardware units, where you can easily swap out the internal power modules to upgrade them, or change the cables and plugs without having to dig up all the concrete and start over.
That's smart. Future-proofing your future-proof business. Okay, before we move off of tech, I just want to briefly touch on this source from Mammotion about robotic landscaping. This feels like a perfect bridge between our Unsexy Millionaires segment and this high-tech one.
It really is. They're talking about their massed line of commercial-grade robotic lawnmowers.
Yeah.
And this technology completely changes the business model of landscaping. Instead of paying a crew of 4 guys to sweat in the sun pushing mowers for 8 hours, you deploy a fleet of these robots to mow a large commercial property, like a sports field or a corporate campus.
So the human's job shifts. You're not the laborer anymore. You're the fleet manager.
Exactly. Your job becomes managing the robot's schedules, doing the detailed edging and trimming that the robots can't do, and handling the maintenance on the machines. It allows one skilled person to do the work of 4, and it drastically reduces your single biggest expense in landscaping, which is labor.
So it's wealth from scratch, but with a team of robot assistants helping you.
It's about leveraging automation to make traditional manual labor vastly more profitable and scalable.
All right, let's pivot to our fourth segment. We've talked a lot about businesses that generate cash flow. But real wealth, the kind of wealth that lasts for generations, often requires owning assets. And for most people, the biggest asset class is real estate.
But buying real estate in 2026 is a tough, tough game.
It is brutal. Interest rates are still relatively high, inventory's low in most desirable areas. Just buying a simple starter home feels totally impossible for a lot of people. But our source from Amerisave highlights a kind of hack in the system that I think is really overlooked: modular homes.
And we need to be crystal clear on the definition here, because the moment you say modular, people's minds immediately go to, a trailer park.
Yes, please clarify that distinction. It's really important.
The Amerisave report makes a very sharp distinction. We are not talking about mobile homes or manufactured homes that are built on a steel chassis with wheels. Those are legally considered personal property, like an RV. Modular homes are different. They're built in a factory in sections or modules, then they're transported to the site on a truck, and then they are lifted by a crane onto a permanent traditional foundation.
So once it's assembled on site, it's just a house.
Legally, structurally, and financially, it is identical to a traditionally site-built home. It appreciates in value just like a stick-built home. It is real property. It is not a depreciating asset like a car or a trailer.
So why is this a wealth hack? What's the opportunity here for our listener?
It boils down to 2 huge factors: cost and speed. The Amerisave data shows that modular homes cost, on average, between $80 and $160 per square foot fully installed.
And what's the comparison for a traditional stick-built home?
In most markets today, you'd be lucky to find a builder for under $200, maybe $250 a square foot. And in high-cost areas, it can be much, much more than that.
So that is a massive, massive discount right off the bat.
It is. The report says total project cost for a modest modular home typically lands somewhere between $180,000 and $360,000. In many parts of the country, you simply cannot find a new or even an existing starter home for that price anymore.
And what about the speed?
This is the other huge advantage. You can be move-in ready in 3 to 6 months from the day you sign the contract. Traditional on-site construction right now, with all the labor shortages and supply chain issues, is easily taking 12 to 18 months.
That's a full year of your life you're getting back?
It's a year of not paying rent while you're also paying interest on a construction loan. Speed dramatically reduces your financial risk. If you're an investor looking to build and sell, it means you can turn your capital over twice as fast. If you're a homeowner, it means you stop burning money on rent a year earlier.
The Amerisave report also touched on financing. I think there's a common myth that you can't get a normal mortgage for these homes.
It's a total myth. Because they're legally permanent structures on a foundation, they are eligible for all the same loans. You can get an FHA loan, which is 3.5% down. You can get a VA loan with 0% down if you're a veteran. USDA loans for rural areas. The financing is absolutely there.
Okay, so if it's cheaper, faster, and you can get a mortgage, where's the catch? Why isn't everybody doing this?
The catch is that it's more work for you. You are essentially acting as your own developer. You're not just walking into a finished house and making an offer. You have to find and buy the piece of land first.
And land requires a bigger down payment, usually.
Much bigger. You'll likely need 20 to 50% down for a land loan. Then you need to get a construction loan to pay for the house itself, which is a bit trickier to qualify for than a standard mortgage.
So it's more cash-intensive up front.
It is. And you have to manage the process. You have to hire the local contractor to clear the land and pour the foundation. You have to deal with the county to get the permits for the well and the septic system or the sewer hookup. It's work. It takes project management skills.
But that work is where the equity comes from.
Exactly. You are creating sweat equity, or in this case, maybe management equity. If the entire project costs you, say, $250,000 to complete, but the house appraises for $320,000 the day it's finished, you just created $70,000 of wealth from scratch.
That ties back perfectly to our theme today. You aren't just buying an asset off the shelf. You are literally building it.
You are manufacturing your own equity. It's one of the most powerful wealth-building tools available to the average person today.
Now, I know we have some listeners who are probably shouting at their speakers right now saying, okay, that's great, but I don't want to clean gutters. I definitely don't want to fix trucks. And I certainly don't have the time or the nerve to act as a general contractor for a modular home. I like my desk job.
And that's totally fair. Not everyone is built for the physical world or wants to be. The good news is you don't have to be.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the new white collar. We established right at the top of the show that the old school generalist office job is dying. So what is the profitable, resilient desk job of 2026?
The single most important word you need to remember is specialization. The report from SSBM Geneva is very, very clear on this. General knowledge is basically free now. AI can give you that in a second. What's valuable, what's expensive, is specialized, high-stakes human judgment.
Okay, so if you want to stay in the air conditioning, what are the safe lanes to be in?
First and foremost, AI-powered solutions. But not just using AI tools like ChatGPT. I'm talking about selling the implementation of those tools to other businesses.
Yeah.
Companies are absolutely desperate for custom chatbots, for workflow automation systems, for better data analytics.
But do you need to be a PhD in computer science to do that?
Not at all. In fact, sometimes that's a disadvantage. The real value is in being the bridge. The report talks about the rise of the implementation consultant. You're the person who understands a specific business problem, say a chaotic and inefficient customer service department, and you know how to configure the off-the-shelf AI tools to actually fix that problem. That's a high-value skill, and it often leads to high recurring revenue.
So you're not coding the AI, you're the architect of the solution that uses the AI.
Correct. The second huge area is cybersecurity consulting.
This one feels like it just never stops growing.
It can't. A single data breach can cost a company millions of dollars in fines, lawsuits, and reputational damage. The SSBM Geneva report pegs the market at well over $300 billion. For most companies, cybersecurity is a non-negotiable expense, like rent. If you have the skills to genuinely secure their data, you can pretty much name your price.
And this isn't something that AI can just fully take over yet.
AI is a powerful tool for monitoring networks and detecting anomalies, but it can't strategize defense. It can't think like a hacker. That still requires human paranoia, human creativity, and human intuition.
What about telemedicine?
Health tech is another massive one. The market is projected to hit $200 billion by 2030. But again, it's not just for doctors, it's all the infrastructure around it. The platform management, the cybersecurity for patient data, the regulatory compliance. Just specializing in high-pay compliance for health tech startups is a massive industry in itself.
And interestingly, the SSBM Geneva report also mentioned the creator economy. I thought that was supposed to be fading.
Not fading, just professionalizing. We're not talking about the teenager doing a dance on TikTok anymore. We're talking about professional content creation and influencer agencies. Brands have to navigate this incredibly fragmented media landscape, and they have no idea how to do it. They need to hire professionals who understand the analytics, the brand strategy, the production value, and the contract negotiations.
So the common thread running through all these new white-collar jobs is you have to be a deep deep expert in a narrow field.
You have to offer a skill that AI cannot easily replicate. High-level security strategy, complex medical and regulatory judgment, nuanced brand and marketing strategy. Or, as the Workplace Intelligence Report puts it, your job becomes managing the AI itself.
It really does seem like the days of just coasting along in a comfortable middle management job are completely over.
They're gone. The middle of the corporate ladder is being systematically squeezed out. The data suggests you're either going to be the strategic human brain at the very top or the skilled human hands doing the work at the bottom. The middle is where the algorithms live now.
That was a very sobering thought, but it's also a very clarifying one.
It clarifies the mission, doesn't it? It tells you that you cannot be passive about your skill set in the economy of 2026. You have to be actively getting better at something specific.
So let's try to bring this all together. We have covered a lot of ground today, from picking up litter in a parking lot all the way to building modular homes and consulting on AI.
It's a really diverse landscape of opportunities, but there's an underlying current that connects all of them.
And that is that 2026 is the year of the pivot.
It absolutely is. You have to be willing to pivot.
So let's recap the big themes. First, we have the blue-collar renaissance. If you are willing to do the essential work that cannot be digitized, the cleaning, the fixing, the maintaining, you have a kind of immunity from AI, and you have surprisingly high profit margins.
And crucially, very low competition from the smartest guys in the room.
Then we talked about the tech infrastructure layer,
Yeah.
building the grid for EVs or managing the fleets of landscaping robots. That's where a lot of the big capital is flowing right now.
It's about following the money into building the foundation for the future.
And then there are smart assets. Using things like modular construction to get around the housing affordability crisis and build real equity for yourself.
Building wealth through ingenuity and a bit of project management.
And finally, for those who want to stay at a desk, the new white collar, where survival and thriving comes from extreme specialization.
And I think if we can connect all this back to you, the listener, the big takeaway from all these different sources, from Workplace Intelligence to Service Titan to Link Power, is that the default path is broken. It's gone. But the active path is wider and has more lanes than ever before.
I really like that phrase, the active path.
There's a quote in the Workplace Intelligence Report that really stuck with me. It said, "The workplace of 2026 is not just about efficiency. It is about balancing disruption with resilience."
Resilience, that's the key word.
Success belongs to the adaptable. It belongs to the people who see these shifts happening and decide to move. Whether you learn to weld, or you buy a cleaning franchise, or you master an AI platform, the one thing you cannot do is stand still. The days of coasting are over.
So here's the final question for you listening to this right now. What lane are you picking? Are you going to be fixing the physical world? Are you going to be building the digital infrastructure that the world runs on? Or are you going to be creating hard assets from scratch? The opportunities are sitting right there in that dirty parking lot, in that server room, and on that vacant piece of land down the street.
Don't wait for the market to give you permission. The permission slip is already signed.
Exactly. Wealth isn't found anymore. It's made from scratch. Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you in the next one.